Have you thought about what you're going to do next quarter? Today, we're specifically talking about planning out Q4. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I do it, which I think is going to be relatable for you because like most people out there, I am still looking at things every few months in advance, and I don't have the luxury of having the entire year planned out in advance where nothing changes. Yes, I'd love to be in that place, but it's really difficult when you're not in big, huge business and when you are still being scrappy and you're still taking in information and things in the world keep changing. The online world is so fast paced and it's so volatile. Everything does change quickly. I mean, just think about AI, just think about the amount of people working from home. Everything's so rapid that it's really hard to predict really far in advance what's going to happen. So let's talk about how to map out or plan out your Q4. I typically like to take some big chunks of time off in the summer. So that for me is July and August. It doesn't mean I'm not doing work. I'm still showing up to my member calls and my clients, and I'll even put out a few workshops or something like that. But I'm not spending a lot of time analyzing numbers, doing CEO days, reflecting on things, and making big plans because that takes up the extra time that I just really want to spend outside with my family, doing the kinds of things that I really love to do. And that it makes the most sense because there's no school for my son and take advantage of the weather. So that's what I usually do July and August. So then when September hits, I'm usually really ready to launch something. And I don't do a ton of planning in advance because I'm focused on doing that. Like, what is the next thing that I really want to sell? Or what is the way that I need to work with people? There's usually a project happening pretty early on in September. So then that leaves me a little bit of time to look at, well, what am I going to do for Q4? Because I think it's important to look a few months in advance. We can't be winging it all the time without knowing what we're going to do, or else we'll miss opportunities to make money or put out a project. We just have to have those goals. So what I will typically do is look at a few critical things to come up with my next best plan. A few of the things that I will look at to try to figure out what I should be doing is external things to my business and internal things. So the internal things are taking stock of the year so far. What have my numbers been? What has done well? What kinds of topics, even what types of funnels or lead magnet type of events have done well, and what has been selling well? What have my customers or clients really enjoyed? What has been happening in my business to give me a sense of what I should be doing more of and what could kind of maybe get put aside for now. And then the other thing I look at is external to the business. So I will look at consumer patterns, like what are people starting to buy? What are some of the things that people are excited about in the world? I'm not trying to let fads or trends influence what I'm doing because I do not necessarily want to create make work projects. Like, for example, if you have a program that you know you can sell and that can earn you some revenue and some profit, you don't want to then go out and start something necessarily brand new that's a total risk that you have no idea how it will land. Even if you think it's the best idea on the planet, you just never know. And risk not making money elsewhere. If you have extra time for that, great, but you don't necessarily want to follow along on some kind of bandwagon just to find that it didn't really fly or it was a lot more hype than you thought and it really just doesn't fit into your business model. So that's why I will look at these consumer trends, but I'll use them more to try to figure out how they can influence what I'm doing, enhance it, optimize it, maybe speak about things that I do in a little bit of a different way, maybe bring some interesting topics that are like adjacently related to my leadership as a business owner, my interests, my lifestyle, my way of working, my way of working with clients, the kinds of things I teach, and see how they can influence it. And then I'll also look at different promotional opportunities coming up. Like, what are some of the business promotion times in the future? Like, for example, in Q4, Black Friday is actually quite a big deal. So we don't want to ignore that completely. We want to make a decision on whether or not that's a good selling time for our business instead of just like pretending it doesn't exist, as well as looking ahead to the holidays. Like in December, are you going to take total time off, or are you going to use that time to work on something because you have a lot of focused time with not a lot of other business demands on you, because most people aren't expecting you to put tons out there, and most people aren't putting tons out there in their business that you need to then consume or look at or analyze or whatever. So the nice thing is that that could give you some time, or it just gives you that much needed break. So those are the kinds of things you want to think through in advance. What's been happening in your business? What's happening in the world? What's coming up? And then you have to come up with what you want to do. So what is Q4 going to be all about for you? I would like to think that you are going to choose to sell something. You're either going to take a program that you already have and you're going to relaunch it, especially if you know that it's going to sell, that it's something you're trying to do, like get more members in your membership, or you have a cohort of a group program you're starting, or maybe you just have a really great way of bringing in new one-on-one clients or consulting gigs, and you want to re-implement that because you need to keep things going, right? You got to let people know you exist. You got to invite them to work with you, or even the best business in the world will find that their leads dry up because they're just not simply asking for the business, right? So you really want to make sure that you are doing something like that. Like make sure that your revenue generating opportunities are put at the front line of what you need to work on, okay? Because sometimes we'll get so excited about like, oh, I want to like take this new course and learn this new thing. And then we kind of get disappointed when a few months in, we're like, I didn't really make that much money. And it's because you didn't put that at the front. Now, as a business owner, trying to make money in your business and trying to like optimize your business for revenue generating, you've got to kind of put that first. So what do you want to sell? What will be the best thing for you to sell? And that again comes from looking at what you've done before, what you know you can do, what you're set up to sell. Like, do you have a funnel already? Do you have some workshops, webinars, paid or free, or different events that you can then put out there to either your current warm audience to get them excited about what you have to share and teach, or even just some ways to get new people into your audience. Perhaps you want to launch a podcast or start on Facebook ads, or really focusing some effort into an organic channel. For example, the YouTube channel I've been working hard on this last couple months and putting real intentional focused effort into that. So all of those things take intention, because you got to figure out what's going to go into it, what needs to get done. So to recap, what is it that you're going to sell? How often you're going to sell it? What kinds of funnels or events are going to help sell the thing? What do you need to work on there? And then do you need to start perhaps a new visibility type of activity that's going to ensure that you're continuing to grow your list, build your audience, because there will be fall off. A lot of people are on a lot of lists these days, and you will end up, if you're doing your good job of cleaning your list, you're going to end up finding a lot of inactive subscribers, and you got to get those out regularly. And that's going to give you a really good idea of who's actually on there and engaging at least occasionally, and let you know how many more people you need to get on in order just to stay at the same size. And then the other thing to think about in this period in terms of sales and promotion is that I do personally find January a great time for people to buy. They're really starting to think about what they want to do that year. And I know some people are going to be thinking ahead, like in November, December, what am I going to do in 2025? But you know, I think most people start thinking about it in January, because most people are doing things on the fly. That could be a huge amount of your customers. And therefore, if you can be ready early January, like week 1 or week 2, even as soon as you can, have something ready for them. You're going to get an opportunity to get in front of people fast. They're still feeling amazing after having the holiday season. They could be feeling kind of like relaxed and really excited to think about like new year, new you kind of thing, regardless of whether it's their business or their health or who knows what it is. Everyone feels a little bit optimistic with the new year, and they're ready to invest in their future. So if you can do the prep, say in December or earlier, to plan out what might happen early January, then I think you're really putting yourself in a great place. And that's what I like to do. I've always found that that's been the best month for me. Whereas February, for example, I know it's different for everyone. And if you've got your own stats, great, and your own patterns, use them. But for me, February gets a little bit slower. A lot of people have invested in something in January for their new year, new you already. Plus, they have spent maybe a little bit too much and worked a little too little over the holiday season. And February rolls around and now they're looking at their credit card bills. So, like, I got to hunker down a little bit. And for a lot of Northern Hemisphere countries, February can be a little bit of a dark month. So, people are feeling a little less optimistic, and perhaps their, new year, new you January high is worn off. So that's why I would be ready to go first thing in January. All right. So I hope that helps you figure out your plans for Q4 and how to go about it. It's not a science. Just spend some time thinking about it, set a few dates, make a few commitments, but don't overdo it. If a membership is in your plan and you want more help to try to create the right membership for you, one that doesn't burn you out with too much content, then I really encourage you to come to my next workshop, the Membership Content Creation Machine. You can sign up for that at scalingdeep.com/content. It's going to be tons of fun and jam-packed with info. Thanks for being here, and bye for now.